The video you're watching is about the video game Unreal version 1 that came out in the 1990s. And it's going to be used as an example of constructed solid geometry style 3D editing. Meaning, okay, yeah, I know it seems a little bit more sophisticated than Minecraft and you might be laughing, but this actually has some basis for being used. And previously on Wabtec, the file, which originally was named unreal.unr, otherwise known as the castle flyby, I altered the flyby so that it would let us drop to the ground here, approximately. It's not perfect. And then either be able to walk over the top of some random item or position it perfectly so we land on it exactly, so that the flyby would end, we wouldn't be stuck in it like some sort of purgatory, which eventually I'm going to do a silly series of videos about with a character that might be familiar. But anyway, we made it to where we terminate it, land here, and on landing on this blaster here, it triggers this function here, which changes the music in the background to turning it off. The next thing is that in the previous video, I altered it to where the window that normally appears here would work, meaning you could actually break it, and made it to where this movable object here, which is called the, well, everybody calls it the cart, or, you know, whatever. This is a cable car. It's also called the car. It would work, and I made it to where it would work by you landing on it and go over there where it's supposed to, and then return, and then you could shoot it from somewhere with said blaster over here to be able to return it to that position. Now, the next thing is that we're going to be showing the guts of it. We're going to go into map perspective. There's various versions of it, but it makes it a wireframe version. Ooh, Tron. But anyway, over here we see that we have this object here, which is the, well, let me get this back to normal looking. It's this spire or tower. And over here's another tower. Now, both of these towers are made by two different methods. This one was made first, and then it was copied and then stretched and shrunk and put into this shape, and it was left here as a different kind of object or brush. This object is a solid object for this one, and it had to have a bunch of work done to it after it was built. This one wasn't going to be altered at all, so they left it as a semi-solid. You can also make non-solid brushes that you can walk through, and some of them can be literally zero thickness, which is how they do the flame effect here, which I'll show you really quickly in this wireframe view. These are the green ones here. They are semi-solid, or actually non-solid. The semi-solids are colored in pink or slightly, well, whatever that color is. The blue ones are solids that are added, and brown ones are solids that are cut into it. So what that means really simply is that the universe this is in, which is just a big cube that was cut out of nothing, the nothing representing a solid mass in this game engine, it cut out a negative cut. But the mountains and the building components are added solids. That means you can cut into them. But if you add it as a semi-solid like this one was, because they weren't going to edit it later, it ends up not requiring as much processing time. It doesn't try to work at it too much, and it kind of approximates everything. But if I need to edit this later, I have to make it a solid. So what we're going to do is go into map perspective, and we're going to locate how many of these things are actually not solids. So I'm going to really carefully right-click this without moving it. It lit up very slightly here. And I'm going to go through and select brushes that match it being semi-solid. Now suddenly we see lit up all over the map a lot of things that are semi-solids. These are usually used for decorations or something else where it's not really critical if you get it perfect, which means they can run into each other. They can be badly overlapped or whatever. But that also means that right up here, that object isn't really solid and you can fall through it. That means that you can't edit it either because it confuses things because it's not really a solid, it's not really a non-solid. It's also not a negative or a positive. It's not an added object or a subtracted one. Now I'm going to point out the flames again here. They are being highlighted because they've been left in as a non-solid. So I have to hold down the control key and left mouse button click each piece of the torch flames that were manually built for making apparently what is considered semi-solid objects. They're supposed to be non-solids, but they've been made semi-solid, I guess. So that leaves things like these pillars, which are overlapping. I'll show you really quickly here. These pillars, which are right there, are overlapping this object. And because it's ambiguous as to whether they're adds or subtracts at that point, if I try to edit it, it'll screw it up, or worse, make a hole in the game where I die, or it just breaks the game and won't load. This is a little pro tip. That's bad. So we have to make sure that goes away. And oddly enough, it was done up there to the railing around it because someone made it, then copied it over here, and just when they copied it, they left them as semisolids. Now I'm going to select all of them, obviously, except for the flames. I'm going to right-click it and tell it to change solidity to be solid. Now when I do that, these are all things that could have been added in any order, and because they're all open and out, I'm going to say to change the order to being added last. When I do that, that'll make it to where if I re-optimize and rebuild the page, or excuse me, the level, it should work correctly. So we go up here to Options and rebuild the whole thing in one shot. Now this is a relatively simple level. It's only 800 kbytes. It's one of the most famous parts of the game, even though it's not considered playable. And what I've done to it by making it to where you fall out of the loop and land over here on this entryway is made it to where this is a pseudo-playable level. It's obviously missing a lot of geometry, but now I can edit it because there's nothing ambiguous. This thing here, this tower, and this tower are both solids, which means I can cut into them. I can hollow them out. I can make it to where I can put in a ladder or a staircase. By the way, staircases are bad. Don't do that. So now we're going to File, save the level, and I already saved it as the intro cable, no car, window, no loop, because those three main components, the only things in it I altered. This one is going to be saved with a different name, and when I do that, the name will be mostly solids, and we'll be looking at that in just a second. Now you should be seeing this, and I'm going to do, normally I would type in God mode and also fly, so we'll type God and fly, because I don't want to get hurt. If the game has a defect I've created by changing a bunch of things at once without regard to doing it the right way, supposedly, the game level may crash. So this is normally going to stop me anyway, but I made it a full solid, so it'll do that just like it would before. And we're going to look at a couple of things. Again, I made it to where that cable car there would definitively move if you hit it. So if you're over there, you could shoot it to call for it to go right over there. And again, on the previous video, I went ahead and altered it to where if you shoot the window over here, it will break like it's supposed to, even though the code was partially there, it wasn't complete. I made an entire video explaining that. And then down here, boy, that's a bad Hall of Mirrors effect. I made it to where it would drop you here and not restart. So if we go here, it shouldn't drag me back into the level. Now, I want to point out during the normal flyby, which is where we go over here and we fly up here and do this, and we come up about here, you can see down normally, and normally that area over there, depending on our position, would glitch out. One of the neat things about this is a glitch like that can be caused by a non-solid object, a semi-solid object, being left on the level visible. It confuses the program and it doesn't know what to do with it. So it ends up, well, glitching. And I mentioned before that if we go here, that if I back up, this ramp inside the building wasn't really solid. So now we'll hit walk. And when we hit, we actually land on a mostly solid surface. Sorry for the darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. But anyway, we go like that, and yeah, it's a solid. We can actually do that. So it does work. So yeah, the reason they do it again is to save bandwidth and space and make it a simpler level to compress and compile, and that's great. But that also makes it harder to edit or impossible. This has caused lots of problems, especially that thing. And it also makes it to where, well, to be honest about it, it can glitch more. Now I've altered those down there, so we'll hit fly again, F-L-Y, and we'll do a flyby down here and make sure that me doing these semi-solid edges that were originally just these decorative edges here didn't make this impossible to go through. And it works, which I already knew, but I have to demonstrate it. So yeah, this video has been about how to alter the game level to where it's a lot less likely to be difficult to edit by making it act more like a finalized level by not having semi-solids. And there's an equivalent in almost every video game editor's 3D package for various reasons. In the next set of videos, I'm going to be doing alterations for things like the skybox to make it much more pleasant, and altering the water to where instead of us falling through and hitting the ground, we actually land in the water, it breaks our fall. Yeah, that skybox has got to be fixed. That ain't happening. So that'll be another video later. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And this has been me making it only mostly solid.